Confitemini Domino, quoniam bonus. Confitemini Domino, Alleluia.
Hello, good morning. My name's Ian Turnbull. I'm here in the Findhorn Foundation community. I'm here to talk about the nature sanctuary, the building in the background, which I constructed about 30 years ago. I was born in Kenya. I had my childhood there. Britain had a big empire, and there were lots of people like myself, born overseas but sent back to Scotland for schooling. When I was a young man, I became a geologist, and then I went to Canada, met my wife, our children were born there, and then when I was visiting my parents, I came to Scotland with our little family. I said, I've heard of this place, Findhorn, I'm just going to go up and have a look at it, and I wanted more of it. That was in 1983. So then I prevailed on my family. Come on, we're going to go to Findhorn for a year. Kids, get your favourite teddy bears. We're away. And then we just settled in here. And I had a dream, like lots of people. I want to make a round building. And I also wanted to make it with recycled materials. I just saw how much we throw away. I made it in April. I began in April and then finished it in October. It was in '86. The Lord of the Rings. That book was well read. I remember thinking, I want to make a little Hobbity place. I kind of improvised it as I went along. And I remember I was in a really good space, I was relaxed. It wasn't hugely important how it turned out. And that helped it grow, actually. I can think that's a good formula. You can see it's a little circular structure. It's 5 meters diameter on the inside. These outside walls is a cavity construction. That means it's a block wall, then there's insulation against that block wall, and then it's dressed with stone. It's more decorative, the stonework. It does support some of the roof. This garden, there was already a little stone wall. There was a little embankment. I dismantled the wall and dug into that sand, dug into the bank. And here's another stone. This is, there's a teaspoon. Just found a teaspoon. This is the stone. This is underneath us. It's all sandstone. And all the houses in this area are made with this stone. And then even deeper down beneath the sandstone is this kind of rock. It's called Lewisian gneiss. It's it's a billion years old. And in fact, this rock it's like a raft. All of Scotland sits on a raft of this rock. The local council quarry it and crush it and then make their roads out of it. I could go to that quarry with just a trailer and just take away all the fragments. At one time in Scotland, every house had a slate roof. Very practical, it's hard wearing. I've made the floor in here out of slates. They all came from a little cottage that was being dismantled. They were going to be thrown away. Building it, I was also a scrounger. I was always walking around. Anything lying around here? You might know, there's a lot of whiskey is produced in Scotland. And a lot of whiskey means they need a lot of barrels. We buy old barrels very cheaply for firewood, but it's still excellent wood. It is seasoned oak with a kind of compound curve. People say, oh, you're a great carpenter, that you bent the wood like that. No, I didn't bend anything. I just got 4 barrel staves and pegged them together at the corners. And there's a nice little window. And so it's nice to talk about it. I do remember, just finding everything. Even a new house was being built, and a digger was going to come along and dig away all of the ground cover. Oh no, I'll go first. So again, I came with my wheelbarrow, cut it up into turfs, and brought the stuff and put it on the roof of the house. Dylan, these are river stones. They're visually quite nice, but they were just to stop the vegetation coming down and filling this little trough. so that any water can move around. You know, when I began the building, I had the space, I had the place here. I didn't even know how big it was going to be. And I came with I put a steel peg in the ground and I had a piece of string, and I went to the kitchen and I got a bag of flour out of one of the big bins. And then with that string, I sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. I walked round and I marked out a circle on the ground. And then, no, it's not big enough. Between the building and the sand, I came and I put a lot of gravel in there so that it'd be hard for moisture to penetrate the building. Look, it's very simple. It's just a framed roof with thick plywood, and then on top of the plywood there's a waterproof membrane, and then on top of that is sods, is earth, and these plants establish themselves. And there's a very simple skylight, so it's just sheets of glass glued on. When I first came to the community, I needed a little bit of income. And I took on to cut firewood. And a farmer had cleared a field or a road going to a field. He'd cut down all the trees. I bought them from him, and then I cut that wood up. It was all sycamore, and then I had a little firewood business. But at the bottom of that pile of sycamore trees was an ash tree. I thought, oh, it's been a mistake. I didn't tell him. I took the ash tree away, or the log, and took it to a sawmill and had it cut up. And I made this door. First of all, I made a table for myself at home, an ash table. It's a very nice straight grained wood. And there was enough wood in that one log to make a door as well. I'd forgotten that. Dylan, it is the simplest kind of structure. You just come in, it's a little shelter, a little ante-chamber. There's this internal wall, which is concrete block. But when it came to finishing it, I plastered it. But I'm not a professional plasterer. I couldn't get a smooth finish. So then I put a textured finish. This is to disguise my amateurism. I saw the gardeners had cut down some larch trees. They were clearing a space. And those larch trees were destined to become firewood. But I went along and spoke with them, and they gave them to me. So those 12 poles formed the ceiling. The one thing I had to have made up for this little building is this steel collar. Here are these poles all coming from a center place. I know there's going to be quite a lot of weight on the roof, and if I don't take some precaution, it's just going to collapse like that. So the secret is here. There's a steel cable that runs all the way around the circumference of the building. At the end of each of these poles, I drilled a hole, and that stops the roof from spreading. That's the strength of it. I thought it out myself. And when I had thought that out, there was a crane was working here. He had an old cable he didn't use anymore. So I took the cable away and used it for this. So I like the serendipity. The floor goes with the ceiling. Because when I was making this building, I was a younger man. I was reading Carl Jung, and I was becoming acquainted with this knowledge. I'm masculine and feminine in myself. It was actually a new realization for me at that time, and I was quite charmed with it. I liked it. I went out of my way to give the whole roof to look like a kind of solar symbol. This is a masculine effect. And the floor, I wanted to represent the feminine. This is a map of our experience, how we experience the moon. If this is, just imagine this is the earth, a symbolic earth. Every month, the moon comes out of a zodiac, comes round the earth, goes into the next zodiac. Under the seats are night storage heaters. So in the wintertime, we switch these on. I like this, and other people do too. This stone came from Iona, a very precious island on the west coast of Scotland. The kings of Scotland were buried there. This has got a straight bar. This is the eye. This is attached to our logical, rational side of our brain. And this window has got a nice little bow in it. This is the more poetic side of us, looking out. So these are our two main eyes, and then when they combine their information, then you get a larger, bigger picture. I call that whimsical notions. It's not important to anyone except me when I was making it. I enjoyed that. This woman, Barbara Sotina, who kind of helped who really is instrumental in getting the singing started, she and I conspired together. Let's make a bigger place. We've walked over to what's called the singing chamber. The other building is 5 meter diameter. This is 8 meter. And we stood these big sheets of rebar up. We shaped them, we bent them to give us this arch with the chicken wire in between, and then plastered it from both sides. The New Zealanders build boats. Do you know that? Ferro cement boats. That's their technology. When it was first made, it had a roof on it. The trouble is, I did not have all the planning regulations covered. And the local council came and looked at it and said, oh, this is more than 50 square meters. And they looked in their code books, 50 square meters, you'll need to put in women's toilets, men's toilets, a disabled loo, and a fire escape to bring it up to code, to conform with the regulations. It was too difficult and too expensive. So in the end, I took the roof off it. But as you come in, even as you come in, you can hear the acoustics are brighter, they sharpen up. But we can bring in lots of people. If you're a small number, you can come and sit in a small circle here. It's a good place to come on a winter evening, light a fire, to explore the mysteries of life. Here, this is the cushion cupboard. You know, the mosaic is it's not high art. I couldn't think of it as group art. First of all, a tile shop went out of business and we inherited a whole lot of their stock. On several occasions, I invited a group of people and just put up this mosaic. That's daytime, and this is the night side. So again, I like whimsy.
Don't take me as I am.
You know, singing together is also a very rewarding activity, very warming, it's nourishing. So I'm not a performer. I would be shy about going on stage and singing, but I do love to get in with the group, put our arms around each other and generate good vibes, generate friendship with each other. We're really shy about our voice and how it comes across. So then you have to give that up. I've seen it's really been good for me, and I see how it is good for others. What else would I say to young people? It was very useful for me. A man taught me this. He told me this, and he also lived it himself. He said, a man who works with his hands is a labourer. A man who works with his hands and his mind is a craftsman. And the man who works with his hands, his mind and his heart is an artist.
Set your seal